Many describe dead silence in the jungle or woods as an omen. It is said that no noise is a sign of an apex predator lurking, with animals sensing and knowing the presence before humans. Furthermore, many speculate the dead silence can be interpreted as something far more worse than an animal attack. Such is the case that happened with John Renz. On the night of August 16, 1971, Renz, a guard at Francis E. Warren Air Force Base in Cheyenne, Wyoming, stated he was abducted by aliens. Renz was headed back to the barracks around 6:45 p.m. after having beers in the mess hall, and as he was walking back, he crossed over the Cow Creek Bridge and noted how eerily dead silent it was. Just before he got to the middle of the bridge, he heard a paralyzing sound, similar to loud thumping heartbeats. At the same time, all around the bridge, the area lit up like daytime. He also heard a heavy breathing like sound, and the bridge began to sway in a wave like motion and then stopped. After finally stopping, a terrified Renz began running to the other side of the bridge. However, before he reached it, he noticed that he had dropped his pipe and went back to grab it. After he turned around, the bridge was still lit up, and the loud sound still existed. As he was able to find his pipe and went down to grab it, he then looked up and was stunned to see a 6 to 7 foot tall being staring right at him. The creature was only about 3 feet away. Renz described the being as having a medium build, with a large head and long arms. It was wearing something similar to a wetsuit. The eyes were covered with what appeared to be a one-piece lens that went across both eyes, with a nasal area joined in with it. Renz believed it was a blast shield. The hands of the being consisted of 3 long fingers that ended in claws. The feet were 3-toed and did not appear to have any heels. Next, as Renz stood up on the bridge, the being motioned for him to come closer. Frightened, Renz then turned and ran away. Renz's next memory was being picked up by 2 soldiers on a military jeep. There was a 7-hour period of time that was missing, which Renz couldn't remember anything. For years, Renz went on living his life, wondering what happened to him that night. Then, finally, he decided to undergo hypnotic regression to recall what had happened to him. Renz recalled being inside some kind of cockpit in a spaceship along with another being who spoke to him telepathically. As he looked out the window, the craft flew in between 2 huge mountains where there was no vegetation anywhere. Then, Renz said he exited the craft and followed the being through a huge door on the side of a mountain. Here, they entered a small, silver-colored room, which had a table that was floating. On the hovering table, there was a corpse of an extraterrestrial. The creature on the table had a larger head and a face that resembled that of a wasp. The being was about 4 to 5 feet in length and seemed to have an outer shell, like an insect would, similar to an exoskeleton. Renz recalled the humanoid emitted an unbearable foul odor, resembling rotten eggs and sulfur. The mouth was wide open, and the teeth were razor sharp. At this point, the being told Renz to leave the room. Outside the room, he saw a strange, saucer shaped craft that sat on two pillars, and the being told him to go inside and sit on the left seat. In the craft, Renz saw numerous strange symbols on what he thought was a control panel. There, an electric motor like sound came about, and the craft took off. After some time, the witness remembered the craft attacking a large, mountainous area resembling a beehive. It appeared that the beings who took him were hostile toward these aliens. He could see numerous creatures inside. The beings appeared to be scrambling around in the beehive structure, and there was about 200 of them, and they appeared to be the same as the insectoid that was on the floating table. After destroying the beehive structure, the craft landed in the destroyed complex. Here, Renz recalls seeing a live creature with the face of a wasp that was wearing a dark cloak. At this point, the tall humanoid arrived in and killed the living creature. The next thing Renz remembers is being returned to the Air Force Base. Many question Renz's story as far-fetched and not plausible. First off, if true, what would be the purpose of the aliens taking him on a battle mission? Also, many skeptics point out, why would someone so terrified run back to get their pipe? Although he still probably would have been taken, it surely doesn't make sense for someone to risk their life over a pipe. It's not clear as well why Renz waited to get hypnotherapy. It's certainly plausible he wanted to just live a normal life, and then as time went on, he had to know what had happened to him that night. Still, it's important to note his abduction case does share similar traits with others, including lost time and extraterrestrials communicating telepathically.